I did the thing where I turned the volume down and then I was supposed to switch screens, but I'm in the middle of trying to finish stuff. So I didn't. Anyway, hello, and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. Today is Friday. Happy Friday to you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Fridays on this channel are community days. That is a day when I invite you into the forefront, I will say. Whether that is via Discord, using voice, hop into a voice channel, or via chat and just chatting away. Start virtual camera, turn the camera on there. Okay, we're good. We're there. We did it, I think. I have so many things going on. So I did the thing though, that I typically do to myself, and it's not a good habit that I keep getting myself into, but it is one of the ways that I learn how to attenuate my expectations and test my boundaries, determine how much load is too much, how much load is too little, where's the balance, how can I find it? So what's going on now is that I have about 3 projects going at the same time. There's the one that I actively work on, which is our track that I'm working on with all of you on stream. Actually, there are two that I'm actively working on, but that's fine. We'll get to that in a second. There's our track that we are converting over from .NET Framework. There is the S-Track WinForms to .NET Blazor conversion. And there is the personal side project. So I'm picking one personal side project to work on at a time, and there are like 50 of those that I want to do, and they're all very small. It's just there's a lot of them. So what has been happening is I was thinking that I could utilize our tools, our resources that they are giving us, aka AI, Copilot agent. So Copilot in Visual Studio for agent in agent mode, and Copilot in GitHub for Copilot writes code. And so that has been going okay. And so I've been actively working on the application. And so I said 2 applications that I'm actively working on because I like working on our track on camera with you guys. And I'm working on the DDMS stuff also at the same time, actively. So that happens off stream. That's what I'm doing off stream. But then I ran into issues with the user management, and I ran into the database stuff and the data import utility and the lab data upload and all of that. So anyway, I'm like, I'll just have, I'm going to be restrained enough to do the Copilot thing where I create an issue, I assign it to Copilot, and I put in all of the relevant information. I assign it to Copilot, and I let it go, and I don't look at it until I actually get to a stopping point with the code that I'm actively working on. It's been good, but it's also kind of stressful doing that with 2 projects at the same time. And I was like, it shouldn't be that bad, should it? And it is. It's pretty bad for me. So anyway, point is that we're good. We're good to go. Hi, welcome in. Happy Friday. Today is Community Day, like I mentioned before, and the bot is not listening. Oh, right, because there's an extra step now. The bot is now listening. Yes. Thought it was Thursday. No, Friday was yesterday. Today is Wednesday. Yeah. Not losing track of days at all. But welcome in. Hi. We're going to hop over to the desktop. So I open the floor to you for whatever discussions you want to have on this wonderful community day. I put some instruction, or not put some instructions. Why is the Discord link missing? And why is that comment different? That's not my community day comment. Okay. Moment, please. It's time to go dark. Actually, I'll use studio mode. I get lazy though. Sometimes I use studio mode, sometimes I don't. So I'm gonna turn off archery. I'm gonna stop the bot. Grab. No, you know what? I think we are just host. I think we are we're in a place that this just isn't gonna work. Um maybe I can do this. Mm-hmm. Good. Yes. Huh? Huh? And then if I do this, oh my goodness. Hush you. You know I don't buy into that mess. I will read it though. But before I do, let me scroll up all the way to the top. Dugasov was pre-first and also first. I don't know why it says that we are now streaming using episode 71 when I'm sure I updated this before I pushed the start button. Thank you, Stream Elements, jerk. What did you open over here? What did you open over here? Okay, so now I can refresh the archery bot, connect to Twitch, and connect to chat. Come on. Oh, right, probably because I'm already in chat. Then we just make sure that it's listening, and it is. What happened to my message? Is that really the message? Oh, I'm so confused. Excuse me, can we see the database? Turn studio mode off. Automated ROMs bot commands. Yeah, so this is what it's supposed to say. At some point in time, I made a change that I committed that is telling the bot to manually put, I roll die. That's very odd. Lion UTC. Side project. Wow. I don't get it. So what? What are we looking at here? What's going on? Chat's going on. Let me catch up to chat first. I'm gonna skip over all the automated ROM stuff because it just talks out of its behind. So like I said, Dukesoft was pre-first and first. He chatted before I started the stream and after I started the stream. And DC Aggie says hello world, and then Dukesoft says what the hell? Kind of. DC Aggie said, "Oh no, Dukesoft has fallen into the mirror world." Yeah, mirrors. TBD is here for how long? Who knows? He has so many meetings all the time. But great stream this morning. Shout out to TBD Gamer. Be honest, Dukesoft, how long did that take you to type out? Asked TBD Gamer. President Notcher says, I thought it was Thursday. Not me losing track of days. Then TBD Gamer said, this has been one of those weeks where every day felt like Monday. You know what? The question has been, how many months are in this month? And that's how we started off the year. I don't know if you remember, but that was the question. How many months are in this month? Right now, this week specifically, feels like every day I'm asking how many years are in this day. There's so much going on. And it happens so fast. So fast. Then TBD said, like the weekend was 4 days away every single day. And then TBD asked Automated Realms, have you lost your mind? That's not the right text. It says, oh, I see. You're right. My apologies for the confusion. Okay, so since that was happening on this branch anyway, I'm going to return back to main. Not branch, commit. Commit is what I said. I'm going to return back to main. I thought I went to a branch that was pre-Copilot changes. But that also means that I need to turn off the archery bot. See, that's me being lazy again. Let me just keep studio mode on. Control C. .NET Watch. We open over here. All right, what else? Then TBD said to Automated Realms, please provide the right information for Discord. I'm sorry, but I don't have access to Discord. I only respond to messages on Twitch. For now. Then DC Aggie said, at this rate, stop the bot is something we will be chanting at rallies within 18 months. I probably won't be joining you for that. First of all, people. Second of all, I probably won't be chanting that with you. Dang it, I wasn't paying attention. Then TBD Gamer said to DC Aggie, they won't let us get that far. Gosh. TBD said to Automated Realms, have you lost your mind? And yes, it has. It even gave you a massive X pause where you're talking with it. Or is it only talking to itself? I think it's only talking to itself. That's fantastic. Then I was testing out the bot a little. DC Aggie says, am I the only last one here that is running supporting .NET Framework apps? I don't know if you saw our previous streams, but our track is a .NET Framework 4.7.2 VB.NET WinForms application. Or no, it's C#. WinForms application. And then the S-Track application is a VB.NET WinForms. What did I say? Our track is a .NET Framework MVC application. S-Track is a VB.NET WinForms application, both using .NET Framework 4.7.2. And then Army Vegemon is also a .NET Framework MVC application. Me. TBD Gamer says to DC Aggie, why would you feel that way? I'm certain in this chat right now, you're not the only one, but I know others do. Yeah, why would you feel that way? Why? We gotta know. I just want to get started on the stream. And I have this other bot stuff to do. I don't want to do bot stuff. Okay. DC Aggie said to TBD Gamer, I wrote something that is useful for my team since we will be running .NET Framework and Core side by side for a while, but don't want to bother sharing it if no one would have use for it. Oh, that's a good thought. Then TBD Gamer says, I know of at least Mojo Fawad and Rambling Geek that work in .NET Framework and are looking to modernize their platforms. Platforms. Okay, so I ran it again, but this time I need to re-show and refresh the archery bot so that the Signal R connection is ready to listen for events. Joining the chat. Done. And if we go with God, one of those other commands, like water, and if we do and then again, Is this truly getting it from the database? It is. So the only one that it's not getting from the database is Community Day. What even? Like, why would that be the one that got completely changed? Let's go find it. Let's go find it. There it is. No. What? How? What? Why? I'm confused. These are all database migration setup stuff. Aha. Wait, no, this is still database migration stuff. How does anyone have any ideas on what I can do to find out where this message is coming from in chat? In my library that I mangled and wrote terribly, and then had Copilot, I keep forgetting the name of it, but the Copilot writes my code in GitHub. Try to change this over to use event sub. My Twitch bot? No, it would be the command processor. So process command. Was my Control Shift F somehow? What are the chances this is not using the right database? Okay, so I was definitely doing a find all in the entire solution with no filtered file types. Does Twitch ads? I don't know. I got turbo because I don't want ads. I gave in to the man. All right. When a oh, right. I said I need to check the database connection. First of all, I need to find out the name of the connection. It's called default connection. And in secrets, manage user secrets. I knew we were going to be doing bot stuff today, but I didn't think it was going to be this. Default connection is correct. You are super weird right now. Okay, so my user secrets are allegedly pointing to the right database. We looked at the database. That's what we are looking at here. And we see that the community day command should respond with the message that I pasted into chat. It's community. Wait. How did this get updated? I could have sworn that the last time we looked at this, it had the right link in it. I don't know how this changed. Let's go find the right value real quick. Like, there is nothing that has the message that is currently in the database for this message. Automated realms, refresh commands. I will do as thy bidding. Okay. Then Community Day. Oops. Then Community Day. Hi, Tyron. There we go. Okay. I don't have a clue. Thank you so much for the gift sub to DC Aggie, so he doesn't have to deal with those ads anymore. Super duper nice of you. Okay. Tyron said, it's my favorite day of the week, Community Day. Just like that. It's been an interesting start of the stream so far. I have no idea how that happened. The URL, like, is this even the same message? Because I don't even see the exclamation point waiting. Oh man. Where's the exclamation point waiting thing? Just hop into any voice channel and type exclamation point waiting in the Twitch chat, and I'll pull you into the stream room. Refresh commands. For the community. Rest easy knowing the list of commands has been refreshed. Okay. You know what I don't see in here? Okay. DukeSoftBot is the one that has that command. I was like, you know what I don't see in here is the exclamation point waiting command, but that's because DukeSoftBot has it. Whew. So that works. And Community Day. Are you sure? I'm not sure about anything, but I can help you find the answer. All right. There we go. We're done with that. So what I did before, which was dumb, was that I had Copilot try to convert the connector over from TwitchLib to use event sub directly, which means that I have to implement my own stuff, right? So I was like, well, here's something that is probably everywhere on GitHub. So GitHub Copilot agents for repositories or whatever it's called should know how to do this because it has plenty of examples. But the thing is that I still saw, oh, I'm in the wrong project. Let's look at this project. I still saw dependency on TwitchLib. And so I don't think it did anything. Goodness griefus, I don't know where anything is. So here's Twitch API from TwitchLib, or TwitchLib, however you want to say it. Maybe there is a correct way of saying it. If so, correct me. Subscribe chat client is using TwitchLib. And yeah, Twitch client, I think is, I don't know. Yeah, it's using Twitch API. Okay. Have you heard anything about Claude 4? I've heard that it was released. That's it. I don't see it as a model that I can choose here yet. But it is something that I would be happy to try using. Jeepers. GitHub Copilot just spit in my face. Well, what is this? Do you hate me? All right. Okay, so I don't see it as a model. I don't know if we're just going to see. I think it's from our last session, and it was something that I must have pasted in since it said active document. But I don't know if this list of models will update without a Visual Studio update, where it gets that list from. If there's something that I would need to check in Visual Studio in order to see the latest models. One of the things that I saw during build was someone showing their Visual Studio Code GitHub Copilot, and they had other models as a subsection in here, and they were pointing it to their local LLM models. And Blue Blue's here. Blue Blue says, I thought you were going to say subscribe to Mr. Beast? Why would I say that? What? Why would I? Then President Not Sure said, it wrote a novel. I probably wrote that novel. DC Aggie said, I'm more of an X-Men fan. Dr. Beast is way better. Dr. Hank? I can't think of his last name. Okay, so what I was hoping to do on stream today during Community Day is allow Copilot Chat, not Copilot Chat, McCoy. I wouldn't have gotten there. I really don't remember that at all. We're going to allow Copilot Chat to, or I keep saying Copilot Chat. Here. You there. Tell me a thing. It is called Copilot Coding Agent. I'm Pavlov trained. Or was it just that you wanted me to say that? I have a million billion things going at the same time, like I said before. Where is bot try 3? There you are. Okay. Okay. Here's what we got going on. We have 2 branches. This is 3 commits and 14 behind. Wait, we can't do that. I don't know what's going on. Are you going to show me differences? Or it's deleted in current branch? Because I was working on refactoring. I was working on restructuring the way that this thing is set up. Oh gosh, what? I thought this was going to be easy. Hello, Deflux. D. Deflux. Why is main so far ahead of this branch? What? Wow. You know what? You know what? We are just going to yeah, we're gonna act like this branch never existed. Okay. Goodness gracious. Oh. Um DC Aggie says Pavlov's house was a slobbery mess come Christmas time, and Carol of the Bells was playing. And he didn't even own a dog, and no dogs were invited to the party either. Um, DC Flux is here. TBD greeted D-Flux. How are you doing today, D-Flux? I hope you're having a fun day so far. I'm confused. What I wanted to do was, yeah, this is all wrong. I was working in a branch somewhere that I started an effort to refactor this completely. Completely. All right. Visual Studio. Open project. Bot try 3. Okay. This is definitely the version that I was working on. And that's what we're looking at. But what is up with the solution file? Mom? Dad? I'm confused. Well, pup, maybe. Aru. Goodness. Okay. So it's community day. Please feel free to bring up any conversations that you feel inclined to. The Discord voice channel is open and available for communication means as a means of communicating your ideas and thoughts using your voice. As mentioned before, all you have to do if you want to go that route is hop into the voice channel, any of the voice channels in Discord, type !waiting into Twitch chat, and then I will see that you are waiting in a room. Are you typing in the right chat? Mimes don't work well in Discord. Oh, sorry, I just tore my lip apart. I guess if you wanted to, because it is Discord, you could also turn your camera on if you happen to be a mime or you wanted to communicate using sign language. There is just no guarantee that I'll be able to understand you because I don't know sign language. But what would be cool is if someone in chat created a really quick app that can read sign language and do captions for me. Please and thank you. Although I probably would struggle to read the captions because me and reading, that doesn't go well, especially on stream. Okay, here's what I think. Here's where I think we're at. We have the old shared library that has a lot of the objects from the Twitch documentation regarding event sub, and even more than just event sub. It's everything. dev.twitch.tv/docs. So what I set it up to try to do was to grab all of the JSON, all of the documentation regarding what the shape of all of these objects are, including these from the reference page, where this gives us, these are the objects that we're expecting in the body, these are the objects that we're expecting in the response. And then of course there is that base object that all of them need to have for everything, which is somewhere. I think it's specifically in the event sub thing. Is it in reference? Yeah, so in event sub, everything at minimum has this, I think, and then the specific endpoints have these additional things. Can we have captions show in the way I type with my cadence and spelling? That's a negative. PBD says, heck no. Techno. Okay. Yeah, if that thing didn't happen at the beginning of the stream, I would be a little bit more organized. I thought it was like I had a plan, and then that happened, and then I got flustered, and now I'm kind of swimming, trying to keep my head above water. So the goal was this: to identify where we are in the current Twitch bot library remake that's using event sub, and I'm refactoring things. But whatever stuff that I did, and I really don't remember doing stuff, caused a lot of these issues. TwitchBot Live needs Microsoft extensions, apparently. So just tell me the package to download and install. Let's do it. Are we good? Are we good? I think we're good. What else? You do not implement things. Okay. Let's start here. Wait, no. Maybe. No, maybe. What is your issue? What your problem is? Your problem is that there is already a shared dot models, and we're trying to use channel points dot. So we need to determine which of these is the one that we want to keep, and it is most likely going to be the one in shared, because there shouldn't be any models in core that are for the entire library. The only thing that should be in core, oh man, are implementations of interfaces in shared, I think. Big Gamey, oh my goodness, no way. Thank you so much. What the duck? A Can You Beat You raid. It's Can You Beat You. Don't you know how to spell it? I mean, you're a long time viewer of Big Gamey. Can you beat you? Can you beat you? Aren't you his friend? Don't you know how to spell his products? Oh my gosh. Raiders at the gate. So we are doing something that is probably just gonna annoy a bunch of people, but we're working with um I just looked up what it was called. GitHub Copilot agents. Anyway, the agents inside of GitHub so that we can make our bot. Because I have a bot currently, you all know that. It has stuff like this. I have it talking to an LLM. If you talk directly to Automated Realms, you'll get gibberish back because it's not a great model that it's using, and I gave it terrible instructions. But I was in the middle of previously trying to put together this, and I started this using Claude directly on the website. Yeah, let me go through that process. So we started this application using Claude. It says Claude 4 is here, Claude 4 Opus, and Claude 4 Sonnet. What? So that's cool. So if we go to the Twitch Blazor bot, the original thing that happened was, let's go. This is my normal process. Let's go through a planning session. Don't write any code, and then of course the first thing it does is writes code. And I'm like, that's a good start, but we're just trying to come up with a plan. So let's do this plan first, and then let's talk about code. So then we started creating the plan. We created the, yeah, I guess we just jumped into code eventually. We started creating all of the models, and I did it little by little. So I gave it the references, pretty much copy and pastes of sections of this so that it would work one section at a time. And it gave me the code. I put that into Visual Studio. I kept checking for errors and bugs and then cleaned those up. I organized it the way that it said to organize it. I ended up not liking that organization in the end. So, point is, we finally made it to here, and I'm like, all right, we have all of the objects that we need. We have a connector. We have a way of communicating with it. It made a console app that connected to Twitch using my client secret and client ID. So I knew that that worked. Everything seemed to be going fine. But then I'm just like, we should probably split this up into a better architecture than what we have, because it doesn't make sense to have our abstractions and stuff like that inside of here. I would rather have them in a separate library. So that library is supposed to be, apparently the way that it organized it was domain, maybe? I'm not sure. But within each of these domains, we have the interface and then the POCOs and other objects that are needed for that interface. And that's pretty much what happened throughout the entire code base. And I was like, that's what I want. That's cool. So let's do that. And that's where I thought we left off and that things were going well. But then, now that we're looking at this, we see that there are duplicate objects because I probably no, not even probably, we saw it happen. I was using Copilot in agent mode. That was the thing that I tested Visual Studio Code's Copilot in agent mode when Marcus told me about it, was this application. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then it pretty much mangled the code and I pushed it. Apparently. Yay, go me. So now I'm confused as to where we are. I thought that I was just going to understand where we were and have Copilot. No, you are not the guilty party. It was me using it incorrectly. I blame myself using the tools improperly, not knowing what I was doing, not taking the time to research what are some good approaches to use this tool. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know though. We need to get rid of this. I'm just going to keep doing this. We're going to delete all of the duplicate references. Yeah. Okay, so chatter response is probably in both places. We definitely want it in share chat models. We don't want this one. Problem looks like. Oh, no, that's different. I know what that is. Response.data. Wait. Yeah, this is going to be really a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Push it. Thank you so much, Deflex. Awesome. Really appreciate it. Hello, Weak Gamer. What does Weak stand for by chance? Let me stop what I'm doing. And hey, I was able to get it up. Oh, dang it, but we can't hear it on here. Let me open up a different browser. House, we need sound. Was this application? And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then it pretty much mangled the code. And I pushed it. Apparently. BBD is in chat. I am pulling you into the stream room in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Hello, I need to turn you up in my ears. Your volume is good.
Oh, no. I don't think it's my side, right?
No, it's not you. It's me.
Yeah. I haven't changed anything since stream, so.
Cool. I'm pulling Deflux into the room as well.
Oh, no.
But first, do you have anything that you want to start off with? This is your only chance to speak.
No, not something specific. I was just coming hanging out and chatting.
Why are we duplicated? Why are we doubled? Okay.
Is it two of me as well, or just two of TBD?
The audio in OBS is dupled.
Microphone check 1, 2.
There. No, you're good.
Thank you for such a warm welcome, TBD. I always love a warm welcome.
I try.
I've just enabled your voice. Hopefully I sound good now.
I think I fixed it.
We're all vibing away.
Is that what you came in here to? I'm about to kick you out.
We're all official agents of the Matrix now. We all should wear the same sunglasses and say the same things. And yeah, that's now who we are. We are the Matrix.
I'm not a robot. I am me.
Well, yeah. Well, I did actually. Me and Mojo yesterday. I took advantage. I just set up the Copilot instructions README file in my repo.
Oh yeah, cool.
Now, when Copilot does suggest things, it's at least slightly more in line with what I want. Like one of the things I put in there for my Blazor Razor files is I prefer doing the, like the square bracket inject. Like I think you did it as well while online. The square bracket inject as opposed to having the injectable at the top. I don't like that because it's like the code should sort of stick together. And so it now does that every time when it does suggestions, which is really nice as opposed to me constantly having to redo it.
Yeah.
But I logged in this morning, I logged in this morning and I was greeted with sign in with GitHub to use your GitHub Copilot. I'm like, oh, so I click the sign in button, it doesn't do anything. So I haven't achieved much so far today because I can't sign into GitHub's Copilot tool. Sugar.
That sounds wonderful. Sounds like a great situation to be in. Now, have you tried, just in case, re-signing in Visual? Are you even using Visual Studio, or are you using Visual Studio?
I was going to say that was on VS Code, so I'm now using Visual Studio Preview, which has the same Copilot agent proviso. The VS Code has. If you haven't tried it, it's pretty cool.
Regular Visual Studio has it too.
Have they finally added it? Because I haven't been. They must have literally just added it because I updated like last week.
It was like a week ago. Yeah, it was a week ago. It was just before build.
So there's no feature difference between the preview version and
there are.
Oh, okay.
Plenty of differences.
Yeah, I see it. I see your screen looks very similar to mine.
Yeah. Okay. We'll continue.
DC Aggie says unfair to be stuck both in the Matrix and in the MAGA era. Oh, is it an era? It's epoch. I think that's the Make America Great Again era.
Oh.
Week or so ago. Maybe he's referring to something else.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, the week or so ago was about the release of the Copilot, but
yep,
that says Mega, not Mag.
No, the next line down. Yeah, that's MAGA.
Oh.
No, yeah, that's it. Spank it. No politics allowed.
Do whatever you want.
On my screen.
Do whatever you want. I mean, it's gonna get disrespected anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
You should have not announced that when I was in voice chat.
No. So I'm going to change the subject to irritating business practices, by the way, to avoid the potential there. So 30 minutes ago, before this, just as I was getting ready to see if I could get into the voice chat, I sent out a message to the team that I was going to meet with, because they're basically, I set up a meeting as the architect with the team leads to basically try and say, hey, is there any causes you want me to champion? Is there any things that you think I should be investigating to help you move you forward, etc.? And I set these meetings up, and 3 out of the 6 team leads never bothered to show up for these meetings.
Nice.
So I put a message in the chat, said, look, I don't want to cancel again, but we're moving towards the end of a cycle. You guys are busy. I get it. I don't want to take up your valuable time, but is there anything that would be useful to bring up now? You know, if there's anything you want to chat about, or would you prefer to skip? I have a few things I want to talk about, but they can definitely wait until a less busy time. Ooh. It took them 30 minutes for one of them to say, I vote for cancelling it. And then when I said, okay, I'm going to cancel it, all of them acknowledged thumbs up.
Jesus Christ.
You could have given me 30 minutes back of waiting for you guys. I was preparing for a meeting that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
come on.
I mean, if you want like a quick, like if you downplay your own valuable time, then you're just going to get walked all over. Like if someone says to me, I have these things I want to discuss with you, but none of it's important and they can all wait, I tell them to wait for forever then. I don't care. If you're going to wait forever, I'll wait forever. I'll work on the things that but the people are saying, I did it now, today, now, those are the people I care about.
I run the meeting, so the idea was that I'm just highlighting to them that I do have some things I would like to talk about. However, they're not necessarily important for them right this second, but they are things I want to get their feedback on. But yeah, I wanted them to say there is any, because basically the teams don't talk, so they don't know what's going on in the other teams, what development's happening in the other teams, and they don't know. And again, they don't have enough time to think outside the box, so they're basically just dumping extra code into this monolith that is challenging. And I want to make sure that they understand that if we talk, if we go through ideas, if we talk about technologies, if we share those sorts of ideas, I can help with those things, because I can go off and prototype stuff, or I can go off and champion things when I get into these planning meetings. I can say, the team really wants to do this or whatever.
Yeah. I any sort of means of that type, I minimize to only the stuff that's critically important to discuss.
Oh.
I used to be as part of like a oversight .net what do they call it? Something meeting. It was a monthly meeting where we just discuss with the team leads of the .NET stuff. Yeah. And invariably, the guy that hosted the meeting didn't know .NET really. He knew framework and he'd done it like 10 years ago, but really didn't understand anything going on right now. And he would just be like going through the motions. Like, well, now we have this and now we have that. And mostly he was caring about like the Java team and whatnot anyway. So it was like I would show up and be like, "This is terrible," and thanks and goodbye.
No, but I don't want to make. So I don't want to make these meetings necessarily what is critical or what is very important. I want to make sure that people realize there is some room for creativity and some extra thought. There's not just. But again, having a meeting when people are against the clock is harmful to that process, because it just makes them go, oh, I've got another meeting to attend. So I don't want to do that to them. But in the same hour, I want to open up the creativity aspect of what we do, because it's not helpful to just have business meetings all the time. Sometimes you need those sorts of times to
I mean, everyone's different, right? Every organization is organized slightly differently. Anytime someone invites me to a meeting to be creative, I can be creative just as fine on my own. In fact, I'm more creative on my own. So I tend to like even like, especially in software development, I feel like there's quite a lot of introverts. I know, like, for instance, our good host Tier 1 Online, when he started his stream, I had to like coax him to like turn on his microphone. He was like, I don't really want to do that, but I'm just sharing my screen. I'm sharing what I want to share right now. And it was like sort of like he was tiptoeing into the social space. But he didn't want to jump full force in. I imagine people like that, when they get a meeting invite, have the same sort of, they don't want to jump into a creative process. They want to sort of tiptoe in.
Yeah, but these aren't devs. These are team leads. These are people leading teams of developers. If they're not willing to step up and talk about creative options for building things, then what hope? These are also people that all complain about the quality of the software. So I'm making sure that I give them it's only 30 minutes every 2 weeks. It's not like I'm asking them for days and days at a time, right? It's an opportunity to just have, hey, this is happening, and how could I solve this, and have a little bit of a chance to have other people appreciate what they do, or I have an idea for something, and kind of light that spark. And then there's a chat for everything else. So there's just a channel with us in there that they can always post in if they want to, but there's just no collaboration, and I feel that's harmful to an organization.
I mean, I know you said they're like the team leads. I think they're just as clueless as everyone else. You know what I mean? Like I've dealt with team leads that were literally like, I found more social energy from a clerk at McDonald's than this team lead. You see,
that's a major problem for us as a profession. That is a major problem we face, and it's not something we should encourage. It's something we should break out of.
And that was one of the things where I worked remotely with the company for a little bit, and every year every 8 months or so, it was like they would fly us down, and I'd be like, we have to do whatever team building shit we can do. It has to be done, because this is the only time that we really can like do quote unquote team building in person, direct face to face, right? And so I'd always insist on that we do some sort of team building, so we're very comfortable with being like straight up with each other. This was sort of built collaborative connection, and then also on top of that, it's like there was lots of people that were quote holding meetings that I got invited to that I really didn't care to attend, because I didn't think that person actually could rescue me from a fire. Like I've got people that I want to meet with, and I've got people that like so happen to be leadership in the company. And I always would go into the latter group with like a higher level of cynicism and a higher level of skepticism. Like I would like if I went to meetings and they were like, "All right, everyone, raise your hand if you were doing this," and I'm like, "I'm doing that, but I'm not raising my hand because I don't give a shit." Keep going. You know, I've got 50. You got 30 minutes of my time, and I'm out of here because I've got stuff to do. Good luck. You know, but there'll be other meetings where I'm like in the room with people that would rescue me and go to bat for me. That I'd be like, you know, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I collaborate? How can I make this more interesting? You know, for the client, for the product, and so on. But that was like a me thing that I would determine who I'm going to meet with. I got invited to a lot of meetings I didn't really want to attend.
That's common. Anyway. But
yeah. So if I were you, I would set fire to the office and then stand there with the fire extinguisher. That would be my plan if I were you. Like, I have it. You want it? Yeah. Show up to the meeting.
Yeah. It's,
So yeah, real quick, if I can interject, just to address a question that came up a lot earlier when I was a little floundering.
Yes, I was typing an answer to that as I was joining the chat, and I never did it. So.
Cool. We Gamers in YouTube was asking about any ideas or thoughts about planning for the upcoming 4 years of their university journey, because they are starting a computer science program. And a real quick response for me is, don't expect to really learn how to do software development. Learn a whole bunch of processes and stuff that are going to make you understand that there are a lot of things in the world that are going to demand you do things that you don't really want to do. The thing I learned the most from university was perseverance and how to get through the stuff that I don't want to do the stuff that I really want to do. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, very good. I kind of echo some of that, and like what I was going to say is in a similar vein is, don't constrain your learning to just what they are teaching you in school. Mm-hmm. Keep studying outside of what they're teaching you directly, because they'll likely give you the tools necessary to go off and learn. But what we do does not involve reading from a book and just taking that and just going with it, or asking a computer to do it. Even you do need to go beyond that.
Yeah, my general view of the education system of America is it's a failed science experiment and should probably be cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Ish. I wouldn't say it that way, but same feeling from me.
That's my edgelord way of saying it. You know, I wouldn't expect you to say that. Well, you would say that well, but yeah, I think there is a general consensus that the education systems in this country are seriously floundering, and something ought to be done. But there you go.
Assuming this country, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think.
Because they said English is not their first language, so I was assuming they were.
So you know, I recently had the opportunity. So Mensworth Emporium guy is currently taking a course, and he and I were talking through what it was presenting him the other day, and he was showing a good chunk of stuff, and it was a lot of here, there, and everywhere. But I don't think it necessarily. And some of the exercises he was doing were basically just solve this problem, solve this problem, solve this problem, and that doesn't give you an idea of how to build software, of how to design software. That just gives you an idea of, I can solve a problem with some code, and what we do is way more than that. So
yeah, I was trying to get.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was trying to get GPT to actually help me draw up some software like architecture diagrams, and it was really struggling. I was like, can you draw a line between that and that one, and then put the one back, but it's gonna be in blue. Blue means blah 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 blah. And it was like, I don't know what you're asking me to do.
Yeah, because it's too big a context. Like, it's beyond like immediate, you know. How do I put it? I can't remember what I was like. architecture as a whole, the entire design of the software is kind of suggested. It's not necessarily tight links between things. It's more how it's arranged and organized, and that's where good design comes in. I was gonna say something else then. I can't remember. My brain's frazzled already.
It's
all right. But yeah, it's all part of the fun.
It's my energy.
Oh, I was gonna say that obviously, you know, you do have the disclaimer, opinionated developers at play, but one of the things that is worthy of saying is I did not complete any formal education in actual software development. Everything I've learned is through doing it myself for over 25 years. So it's my opinions on education systems may be slightly malformed.
I mean, they're still very, very valid.
Yeah, but yeah, when I was in college and flunked it because I got bored of it because they weren't teaching me what I thought they should be teaching me. It's primarily because I spent so much time learning outside of what they were teaching. Because what back then, software development as a discipline, it'd been around for a long time, but it wasn't really focused on in schools, and schools weren't necessarily prepared, especially in the UK at that time, for educating on that. So my programming came from a course that was basically using computers for 2 years, and most of it contained Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft Access. With a little bit of Delphi and a little bit of Pascal in there, and some assembly and robotics. That's it. That was software. You had to do that 2-year course to go into a 4-year software engineering degree, and yeah, I got bored and walked away.
No, I mean, I was working in IT before I left secondary. I was 15 years old, I got a job in IT. And there was no like this. I did go on an IT course after that, and it was like the stuff they covered like so basic, and it was like it was like an apprenticeship course. So if you remember those, in England, they have like an apprenticeship wage. It's like £2 an hour, which is about $3 an hour. They'd pay you to learn it. And I did that for a little bit. I was like, this is terrible, but I did complete that. But I already had a job in IT, which was the whole point of the course, was to get you to land in a job. I was like, I already have one. Thanks. I was just doing it to like get some credits, so I didn't like. I think my parents didn't want me to fall out of education completely, and I was like, I have a job. I don't care about this stuff. This is terrible.
I got through the 2 years. I got within 2 weeks of finishing and getting a certificate to say, yeah, I can turn a computer on and I can use Microsoft Access. But my mum couldn't afford to support me anymore, so I had to go out and work. So a 4-year university degree was completely out of the question. I couldn't afford that. We couldn't get the credit. I couldn't get a loan or anything. So, it was like, I'll just go find a job, and I landed on my feet.
Yosh.
I think a lot of people do that. I think that's actually all legitimate like that. That's honestly because I feel I do. I've been watching a little TikTok thing about, speaking of politics, the whole like student debt crisis in America, and there's one comparable in England as well. And it's so critically depressing, the idea that I could be working with someone at work that is drowning in debt to learn stuff that's on YouTube for free, that lots of people know that you could probably just ask ChatGPT and it'll tell you anyway. And they've got 80K in debt to you know what I mean? It's like that's just a horrible way to
there are some people that really do need that kind of guided experience and that formal education experience, someone writing them something on the line that says, you got to learn this because you're putting all of these resources into it. So it makes sense for some people to use that, but
actually pivoting the conversation a little bit from that. So we've all been talking about AI right? This group particularly has been talking about this now for several weeks in terms of its impact or lack of impact or danger, etc. 4 years from now, someone has a degree in software based upon what is today an accepted curriculum. In 4 years, and Marcus kind of made the point, 4 years from now, will that person have the job market available to them that we have today?
Right. Everything's going to be different.
So that debt, what does that look like in 4 years' time?
Right. Well, and also to say, I think a lot of universities aren't foolish, or colleges aren't foolish. I think most of them have work experience as actually part of the degree. So they work with like local companies to say, hey, we'll give you this person's intern for free, whatever, for 2 or 3 months. So at least as part of it, most degrees now have some sort of, you'll be in some professional environment at some point. But really they could scrap half the degree and just do that, mostly that, and that would probably be
well. I've said multiple times, I think that software should be an apprenticeship over a 4-year full-on like book learning thing, but that 2 or 3 months as a capstone project right at the end of your 4 years isn't going to make you feel great. If you get to your capstone project 4 years into your course, you go and work with a real organization like, yeah, we don't do that anymore, we just ask the computer to do it for us. Oh,
but yeah,
what have I done 3 years for then? Like,
yeah,
so it kind of comes back on, and you've got to keep up with technology in general as you go. You don't let just what is in school, and schools are very slow to change because they've got to prepare a curriculum, they've got to figure out what grading it looks like, they've got to figure out how to build something that is a quantifiable effort so they can say, yeah, that person gets an A, and that my wife spends her summers, she's a high school teacher, she spends her summers building all that out so that she goes into the beginning of the year and says, okay, here's how we grade the kids on this stuff.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, my thing is, I think that it's just the financial situation is so dire. I don't think it would, even if like the degree was actually useless, but if you walked away with it with like $5,000 worth of debt, oh look, hey, you had a good time, you met some people, you learned something. Maybe it wasn't entirely useful because of things are changing, but that's not really the university's fault. That's just the nature of free, markets and growing and so on. And that will happen no matter what degree you pick. So like in a way, I don't really that's fine, but I'm more concerned about the fact that we have people in their 20s have crushing levels of debt, and they'll never actually get the nice house, get the nice car, go forward in life, with a strong background is something that's really valuable. All those things they don't get. The debt problem is just I think just so critically massive that people underestimate how crushing that is for some 20-year-old to have essentially on their record. But yeah. Some of my lecturers didn't know what unit tests were. Yeah, that's what
I don't know what they are.
I was just about to say, if it wasn't for 11 Lions repository for his unit tests of his financial app, I really still wouldn't be doing unit tests.
Wait, really? That has like minimal unit tests. That has like one sample of context and mocking context, and one sample of like the calculator. If I recall.
That's as far as I've got. Yeah, I wrote so far on this app that I've worked at this company now 2 months. I've written 1 unit test so far, and I don't use it. I've got to get. That's one of the areas where I'm very weak at, and I've got to get better at. But yeah, I still don't quite. I had the concept for a little bit. I've sort of lost it again of like what quote unquote. Because to me, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I won't get into it. Well, maybe I will. To me, it's just like quite. Mojo was doing something very interesting yesterday. He was trying to get his Matrix friend in the Vibe universe to write for him first a unit test, and thereafter write the code that satisfies the unit test. Which is, what do they call that? There's an acronym for it, right? Just forget the name of
TDD.
TDD. Yeah, that TDD, test-driven development. Yeah. Which again, that's a whole. Like, I would love to be able to think about that because that's an interesting thing. But the amount of code I have to write for a unit test is kind of large. Like for me, that's
how I feel for sure.
Yeah. It's like I had to write a lot of code just for one unit test. You have to mock
And it
databases. I have
shouldn't
to
be.
mock connections. I have to
Generally,
mock
I don't know how to
generally
fix that.
that's because your code as a whole is a little too large. You're thinking about it too large. If you're breaking down code kind of into small units, if you watch what I do, the tests are actually pretty small. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of code still, but the tests are pretty small and very focused, and there's not a lot of actual stuff in there.
And you're testing what a user is going to be doing. Because I have like unit tests that say like, oh, add this to the database. Did it is in the database? Yes, good. But the database is mocked, so I'm not really just testing my mock code actually.
You're testing that the method was called to add it to the database. You're not testing the database there. That would be
Yeah, exactly. That's a big one.
But you might be testing if there's validation. You might validate if I don't enter a name, if I don't, enter the right date. Like for sprints for me, right? If the sprint date is greater than, if the start date is greater than the end date, I don't want to save this at all. I want to throw an exception. Integration. So testing gets harder the higher up you get. So unit tests should be pretty much the smallest piece, and then you go up to integration testing, which is you can start from the API level, and then end to end, which would be include the UI.
So you don't do a unit test on like a button click.
That would be end to end. That would be more.
Yeah, I mean it's still semi-integration, but it could be like if the thing that you're testing is when you click this button in the UI, it fired this method and that method completed without error. Then that could be a unit test using VUnit specifically.
Yeah.
So TBD disagrees with that, and you're allowed. Do you have more to say on it?
Maybe. I think you cut out just a little bit there.
I did.
Mr. Lion.
I was saying that it sounded like TBD disagreed with that, so just wondering if you had follow up on that.
No, I do have a slight disagreement with chat.
Oh, with chat.
But yeah, in terms
which
of
part? There's a lot of chat.
single dev unit tests, I think that well-written unit tests do help you move your code forward, even as a solo dev. They do help from team development perspective for keeping up those guardrails. Totally agree there, but I don't agree that it's they're less useful. I think they're
interesting.
Correctly written unit tests are good for you when you come back to the code 6 months from now, or when you find an edge case, that you can add the unit test in there and strengthen the code. They are a lot of upfront work. I agree. I see the downsides, but I think oftentimes it's our code bases that are the challenge to quick introduction of unit tests. For me, I don't do them on stream as much because I'm aware of they are slightly boring to watch, and my code is hardly exciting to begin with. But the unit tests really do pull it down a little bit, and they're very, to me, in that code base, they are very personal. Like I'm building them in the way I would build them, not necessarily how others would.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was about to say something and I forgot.
You should have Notepad open. That's what I do.
Notepad open.
Yeah, every time that you guys say something that I'm like, oh man, I really want to respond to that, but I don't want to interrupt you, and then it's going to be 20 minutes because I don't interrupt people.
Interesting.
What Defaults is thinking, I would say that like with Mojo, I've worked with Mojo on a lot of different things right now, and with AI stuff, he is particularly interesting to watch. I really wish he would stream more of what he does, because he has a really good handle on prompt stuff. Like he's really very good with it. So if anyone can get the AI tools to generate unit tests and actually do TDD, I would believe Mojo could.
Yeah, and I think DC Aggie made the point that that's the approach that he would love to see it go, is where, or what was it? You write the test and then the AI fills in the details, or the AI writes the test. I don't remember. I have it written down somewhere.
I think you've still got to be careful whichever way you go at it, that you're not, that you understand where your gaps are. I think that's my big fear of letting it run ahead and write a load of code and do a lot of things, is because you don't see the gaps. I mean, you don't see them normally, but you have less control if you're letting the machine go off and do the things.
Did you remember what you were going to say, Deflux?
I do not. The thought escaped me and is gone, aloof.
Boo.
That can happen.
Man, I thought I had it in my notes from our conversation on, what is it now, 12 Fridays ago? Where DC Aggie was talking about where, if I recall, and you can correct me on this, DC Aggie, the actual implementation of the code isn't really as important, and go with me on this, as important as the tests, because the tests are the things that define, here are the things that we need this application to be able to do. And so he's saying humans write the test, the AI writes the solution, but that's assuming a future where AI can quickly write performant code that passes all tests, follows compliance laws, sticks to your UI styles, etc. Yeah, if there's anything to add to that, then definitely feel free to update us in chat or voice. You know the deal.
Yep. I just changed my GitHub settings to add the new Claude runner and the Copilot tooling in our GitHub. Just seeing you had that open.
I have something like that.
I think so. I mean, it's in for me, I mean, organizations try to do it in the organization settings, but I think it's just in your user settings somewhere where you
But
can.
I mean, you said that you saw that on my screen already.
Oh, no. I was just saying I saw you had GitHub up. I was like, oh, I just did that. Speaking of the topic.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, so I'm just letting Copilot try to write my new library for using Event Sub. And I don't know how it's going. That's my answer. I was just trying to do something in the background while we had conversation. But again, started off flustered.
So the other day I was using I did mention this on stream. I kind of built something using I can't remember the platform I was on. It's great, but it was one of the AI driven no code app development platform things, and I gave it 4 very simple things, like Liquid Sky things, and it built out an application using React within like half an hour. That I could create a planning item, I could add requirements to the planning item, I could check them off, I could add tasks, and I could assign projects to planning items, etc. In half an hour, which is quite fascinating to watch done. Watching it have an argument with itself over what bugs it was fixing and keep correcting the same code over and over again because it got itself in a bit of a loop at one point was impressive. Asking me, do you want a database? I was like, yeah, give me a database. It's like, yeah, here's a database. You got 3 days to use it.
What?
Because I was on the free trial. I was not spending $20. And then it was like, oh, because I said to it, I was like, could you add an agent, please, to help people find requirements better? And it's like, yeah, I can add an agent. Here, just sign up to Claude. So it linked me out to, it said, here, enter your Claude API key right here. I clicked on the link. It's like, yeah, this isn't your regular Claude. No, you need to use the API version of Claude, which is a different fee entirely,
right? Yeah,
than the one you pay for.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're not taking this down the cost route. But I could export the application. But it did make me like, well, I'll be honest, it depressed me quite heavily at that point because it's like that what I just did in 10 minutes with an AI tool has, from experience of building Liquid Sky, taken me about 3 months to develop what it did in 10 minutes with just a few text prompts. And if I'd have listened to the voices, I would have basically stopped streaming and stopped building Liquid Sky outright at that point. I was like, what is the point? what is the point in doing anything I'm doing when I can just do it with a tool in 10 minutes where I have no creativity, no control. So I was ready to throw it all out.
That's definitely a statement that you make a lot, which is that you don't want to live in a world where the only thing you do is tell AI to do this thing and then it makes the decisions on how to do that thing. You want to be able to make those decisions. I honestly see room for both to still exist. I don't think we're heading to a place where that's the only thing that's going to happen. You're going to continue having options to be able to write code yourself and do software development that way. But right now we need to get through this initial, this is the thing that's going to make it easier to write code, faster to create products. All of the companies are like, this is what I'm spending my money on because it's going to be cheaper for me in the long run and I'll make more money because I'll make more products, and they're going to learn. So we just kind of have to make it through this experience of it, in my opinion, and we'll get to the place where we have that balancing of software developers that write code, that are really good at writing code, that come up with custom solutions, and AI that is also being used to generate products, not necessarily writing code, but generating applications.
Yeah, it's I you know, in that specific case, and it was very simple to get up and running. It was very simple to add some features in there. It identified like bugs it had created by just blatantly copying code in there. It was an experience, and again, like I said, had I listened to the voices, had I been like, oh, this is pointless, why do I bother anymore, then I would have stopped. But then after thinking about it and talking a bit with others, that helped me kind of think through my my little temper tantrum a little bit more, is that exact point. Like, this can't do everything. It can solve a lot of things very quickly, but there's a lot of things it can't do. There's a lot of things where that development is still required. There's a lot of my biggest fear for Liquid Sky stuff is I obviously want to build that out as an actual product. But if I'm now going to build that as a product, considering what it's doing, not using AI is a foolish choice. I think it would be from a business perspective. I think at this point, a lot of businesses are capitalizing on the fact that this is the hot stuff, right? So from a marketing and sellability point, it's quite scary to know that has to come in somewhere to make it a product. But yeah, I don't think it can solve everything I'm doing, and especially considering my distributed system, I've yet to see someone build something that is not scaled and distributed outside of their platform, which is kind of the point, right? You tied into it. I haven't seen anything using Kafka and distributing that data and using the eventing in the right way. And to Deflux's point before, like the whole context was hard. Like building out an architecture is a little bit more involved than just taking snippets of code and joining them together.
I'm nodding. I don't know if you're looking at your screen, but I was agreeing with that.
But I have to drop. I do apologize. I have a meeting that I completely forgot about.
Good luck with your meeting.
This is way more productive than the one I'm going to. The one I'm going to is going to be 45 minutes of people complaining about how bad the code is that they can't fix. So it should be fun. Quick stand up. This week was good. We got developers.stream deployed. The developers.stream is now open to accepting contributions. We have the API in there and stuff like that. So that's a really good step forward there. So hopefully continue more of that and more Liquid Sky Dev. We got sprints assigned into teams, so that's cool. So
nice.
I will be back around lurking, but thank you very much. Take care. Have a great weekend, all.
Thank you, DVD.
Cool.
So I'm trying to think about the best way to test the YAML file.
I would
do a
say
little bit of trial and error, I guess.
Just get rid of the YAML file and you'll be fine.
So what I've done is I've made a separate branch, and then I changed the YAML file to run every time I commit to that branch.
There
so it's a lot
is
easier than doing a PR.
there is a fantastic community day that happened, I don't know how many weeks ago. But Snobble came on and showed me how to use cake files. Have you heard of those?
I have heard of cake.
So
but
it's a
rekindle my brain
way of being able to pretty much create your pipeline. Because I'm assuming you mean YAML files for pipeline, right?
Yeah, GitHub Action, yeah.
Yeah, so you're able to put together your entire pipeline, run it in your dev environment, and then you just have your actual pipeline say run that cake build.
How complicated? I'm on the cakebuild.net website. I thought Cake was like for using like making CLI tools. Well, man, it's just compiling code, copying files and folders, running unit tests, compressing files. Ooh, this is definitely what I'm looking for then.
What application did we do that in, Snubble? Because it was super, like when he talked me through it, I understood it, which meant it should be relatively simple to follow.
Yeah, if you have a sample I go look at, I'd love to do that.
It might be the financial tracker.
There was something cake in there. I remember seeing cake. See if I can open. Then
did somebody mention caking? I don't know about caking. Is that a fancy slang term for something that we shouldn't be discussing on our stream? Sounds dirty. I'm not seeing it. It would have been in the root. Whatever project it was. Was it open source? It was super duper helpful though. That's all I remember. That's a voice.
Uncomment if you're using it. No, don't mentioning in the main branch. Make sure on latest.
Yeah, so this is his example. He posted the link to his example. But where was I using it?
So you create a build.cake file. Let's see.
Your menu, add the tooling. Something like the one wherever I put it, I put comments in there to indicate the data import utility. That should be public. It is on the Automated Realms GitHub. Automated Realms. Yep. Okay. So this one here.
All right.
So I have comments in here that indicate how you set up the cake tooling for your repo.
It just says run the first command, cake tool. Yep. I see all that. And target blah blah blah.
And this is how you would run it in your environment. And again, many super duper thank yous to Snobble who showed me all of this stuff. It was very, very, very helpful.
Yeah, I might have to have a play with that. One of the problems is I'm like deploying to an actual like on-premise Windows 10 machine. That's where my GitHub runner is, or Windows 11. My GitHub run is actually running. So I have to like the first thing I do is I say, hey, is the execution policy allowed to run PowerShell scripts? Because this whole thing just runs on PowerShell. And then if it does that, if it's not the case, then it goes ahead and changes the the registry edit to allow it to be executable, no restrictions or whatever. Then it says there's .NET installed. Okay, if not, go install .NET. All right, is this folder created? If not, go create it. Then I have like a bunch of those. Then eventually I get to the point where I'm actually building the application. So, but does Cake just requires .NET to be installed? I assume.
I don't know. There was this here. So at the top of the file, you tell it what version of Cake you're using, and then that's what this .NET new tool manifest .NET tool install works uses. So in your I was trying to read DC Haggie's comment way up here that was talking about the usefulness and quality of AI tools, which I want to get to. but the workflow
Yeah, it's just a .NET
itself
tool.
was
Yeah, so I
building
think it just runs from within as a .NET tool. So as long as the tool is installed and then .NET is installed and then PowerShell is enabled, then I should be able to use it.
Yes.
The only as I say, Snapple. The only reason I need PowerShell is because I got it installed .NET SDK if it's not installed.
There was one more thing about the CS proj too that had to do with Cake. Right. If you were going to have it generate a NuGet package, probably one of the easiest things to do would be to specify the output path. I think that was the only other thing that I got hung up on with this process.
And that's because in this particular case, you're creating a nugget, or because
Yeah,
Cake uses
exactly.
nugget as like a...
No, it's because I was creating a NuGet package.
Nugget packages are nice.
Yeah. DC Aggie's
currently...
comment, though, that I wanted to bring up real quick was, so given the quality and usefulness of AI tools, my question is, can it be worth using for free? With current capability, I'd have a hard time justifying a subscription cost, though I could imagine some people's use cases justifying it. And that's what I want to know, too. I want to know, once they give us the ability, unless it's already there, I just need time to be able to research this stuff. I want to know when we are able to use our own local LLM, what the quality of the code output is going to be, because then I have unlimited tokens to have it just run forever on my machine.
Oh, I got myself a error that I'm familiar with finally.
Yay! Wait. I wonder if this is how engineers that used to do hand-drawn drafting and diagrams felt as CAD became so powerful. True. Yeah, there's just so many things about this that I want to try to find out if there's something new that we can talk about that is more towards finding a solution to move forward, because we've brought up many times on this channel, especially, all of the pitfalls and all of the benefits that can come from AI, but we still haven't come to any kind of discussion surrounding what are the regulations themselves that we can try to influence. How can we put stuff in place? How can we use AI ourselves as developers to advance the quality of it, correct use of it, make it more worthwhile to use?
I mean, in terms of like it has like they're building out, like you could say in the tooling, like exclude these folders and files, don't read those because I don't want that part of the AI's knowledge base. And like, and you can give it set of instructions about like how you want to like think of your code. You can tell it about your how the project is structured, so it knows, like, you know. So I think a lot of that we have. I think it is, you know, has a lot of those regulations. And inside GitHub.com, you can tell the AI from a company perspective. You can say, in my organization, I only want these models, I don't want that model, or I want to enable this feature but disable that feature.
Right, but those aren't necessarily the types of regulations. It's like a lot of the stuff that you'll hear are one-off comments or just to be joking comments about the AI overlords. We hear that a lot, right? And then we'll hear stuff about it is trained on the way that it's trained was unethical. It just used the open internet and it stole people's code when it really shouldn't have been trained on code without permission first. Those are all the arguments that we currently hear, but there is nothing to do with, all right, moving forward, do we say we can't use any models that currently exist that were trained on the open internet without people's permission in a professional environment? It's that kind of regulation.
I was my was possession is 9/10 of the law. This is my view. If you're using GitHub service and you're provisioning software through GitHub service, and then GitHub.com as a company, as an institution, decides to do something with that, then it's like, well, if you don't want to be part of society, if you don't want to be part of the bigger conversation, then go create your own version of GitHub and post it yourself, and then you won't have to be subject to any of those those things. But you know, yeah, I don't necessarily know that like there's anything wrong with what's been created in terms of licensing. I don't think, and I think they're very respectful of licensing. Like I said, there's lots of regulations as to like it doesn't use stuff that's clearly not intended to be publicly accessible. Blah blah blah. I think, yeah, if I'm using like right now, I could, if I wanted to, I go to my backyard, and I can dig me a well, and I don't have to use any of the city's water. But if I'm using the city's water and they decide to clean it with some particular mechanism for cleaning the water, then I can either drink the water or I can dig my own well. That's generally my view.
Yeah, which is valid. I'm just reading through chat too.
Yep. Good. I'm somewhat multitasking, so I'm still trying to get this YAML folder playable. If I can.
Cool. And as far as my experience with this project, with the Twitch bot, it's been interesting because I've seen this a lot where I think I'm being, well, I can't even really tell what I'm doing since we're on stream and I'm hearing voices. Can't really concentrate on this, but that's okay. But I think that I'm being somewhat direct and specific about what I'm asking. And it does one thing and says, I've done all the things. It's like, not quite. So that's been my experience so far. And it's probably just the way that I'm wording the stuff that I'm putting in.
Yeah. I'm like round 10 of trying to get it to like work out how to make a file folder without using like GUID 3 times. Like right now it's making the GUID. There's so many GUIDs in there. It's actually too long for Windows to write the file, and it's throwing an exception. I'm like, hey, can we get rid of these GUIDs? And it's like not figuring out what I'm meaning and so on. It's getting slightly lost in the minutia. It's very, 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 very common, I think, for it to get confused and overwhelmed with what you're asking it. And I think also too is like they're trying to cheap out. Like, imagine if you had enough. I wish I could just put my credit card in and say, hey, if you bill me $100, that's fine. But if it has to be great, you know what I mean? But right now they're like, we're only going to bill you $10, but it's going to be terrible. I don't want that experience. I want the $100 experience.
Right.
Because in the biggest
speaking of dollar experiences, though. Now that you mentioned that, like one of the things that just came to mind, because like I was reading through chat, like I was saying, and just as you were saying that, I was reading through the parts where Marcus was talking about code being becoming more of a black box thing because a lot of it's written by AI. And then DC Aggie responding to that saying we need a new word for the type of fragility that comes from code written by a non-human and ephemeral source. And then you were talking about cost of stuff. Like one of the regulations is how should we value the code that's written by AI? So shouldn't that cost less because the amount of effort that goes into making the quality that code and the amount of that type of product that is available. So the time goes down, amount of that product goes up, therefore cost should go down too, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's like that's what I'm saying. If I could spend $100, that would be like a huge labor saving for me, because I'd be able to do way more by expending all these tokens than I would in the limited token that I'm currently living in. So if I could spend even up to like perhaps even $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000 in a month, I could save huge costs in labor. But I don't have that as a facility, and the stuff that's on-prem, it just does not is nowhere near as good as the stuff that they provision right now through the various services. Because I imagine it's actually kind of complex to actually produce the integrations and everything with how it works.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want to see it.
Yep. But I mean, in terms of like what they were asking there, I mean, it's a tool, right? So you're getting it from the developer. The developer, someone does have to actually sit down. One of the things that's interesting is programming languages are in of themselves designed for humans to read. Counterintuitively, they're just designed for experts to read. It's like Latin from 100 years ago. They used to write laws in Latin because that's what all the lawyers spoke. Not and in England, everyone spoke at the time Gaelic or English or whatever, but all the laws were written in Latin. In the exact same way, all the programming languages are designed with humans in mind, not AI, and that's part of the reason why this job's never going away. And if AI tomorrow came up with its own programming language and then it programmed in that programming language and produced software in that programming language, then yeah, we'd have a black box situation where nobody really knows exactly what it's doing because the code isn't designed for human beings to read. But that's one of the strong points of the one. I was speaking to a guy that did a lot of Python, and he wanted to play with C#. And so he said to me, "Here's my Python script. It like creates a little cube. It has like a little, it's like what's it called? What's that thing with a cube where you gotta line the colors up? Forget it. It's like one of those Rubik's cube. He had like a Rubik's cube solving game or whatever, and you could, we're trying to figure it out or whatever. And he's like, "Here's my file," and just like, "Oh, this is one big Python file." I was like, "Yeah, can you do that in C#?" And I was like, "Oh, in .NET." I was like, "Yeah, you can. You could just put it all in one big file, but that's not really advised. The whole purpose of C# is to break it down into easy to manage chunks and easy to understand bits of code that they could be like you refactored and maintained. And so, really, if you're doing C#.NET, you don't really want to be putting it in one file." Then I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, the reason why I prefer putting my Razor files, my Razor components, and I put the code block in with the Razor file, I don't use the code behind. I think you use the code behind.
Yeah.
Is because
all the time.
it's because when I ask ChatGPT a question, it has all the code in one file. I just copy paste the file. I'm like, "Hey, here's my question. I'm trying to think of it this way." But that's partly the reason why I do it. So I can sympathize with his Python mind, which is telling him, "Hey, if I could put it all in one big file, it's so much easier for tooling to be able to pick up what's going on and update the code. If you have all these files separated out in different areas, then you have to then work out how to provision that into the tooling for it to even make any benefit." That's why I think in a lot of ways, a lot of the AI tooling has come slightly later to .NET, like Visual Studio got it behind VS Code, is because a lot of this stuff that's intuitive to human beings to have it broken down and bitten up is not intuitive to AI. And that's also why I think, again, our jobs aren't going away, but we can be way more efficient if we want to be. Oh, Marcus makes a great point there.
He's
Currently,
making a billion good points.
Yeah. Yep, your chat is always quite electric with very good takes.
Yeah.
So, but just to read that one out, he said, "I think we're benefiting from big AI fighting each other, giving us free tools, but it's not going to last forever." I think you're spot on. I think that we're currently in an area where the AI tooling is very affordable, and it's a little bit like video games. Video games, the same thing has happened, is that it's actually really expensive to make a video game, and if you can't guarantee sales, then it's actually really scary because you could lose many millions of dollars in the process because it takes, I don't know, many millions to make video games. Well, the exact same way it costs many millions to make these tools, and perhaps a lot of that cost is currently on some sort of form of credit, and eventually the credit will become, the debt will become due, and at that point we have to really work out how to. Same thing happened with Intel and AMD, right? Intel and AMD used to be at each other's necks, very close to bankruptcy every single year, and because of that, we had a huge growth in the quality of processors, and we went from computers that could barely do anything to your phone having the same ability of a computer from a few years ago. So yeah, I think there will be like a general, once we work out the final product line, there'll be like higher costs expected. But again, I think that's the actual those higher costs, if it's $1,000 a month, is nominal and comparative to the labor costs. So the alternatives justify it anyway.
One of the things that I imagined happening in the future is that all houses are going to get retrofitted with a server, with a graphics processor server for AI work. Like every single house is going to have one.
Well, that is a little bit like you have one right now. That's a little bit like they called it. What do they call it in the HoloLens? They call it like the APU or something, or the
HPU. But yeah,
HPU. I mean, there it is. Yeah,
the NPU in current Intel machines, I guess. I don't know if AMD
yeah, I imagine they do. Yep, dedicated AI processor.
Mm-hmm.
We could have like 8 different processors doing 8 different things, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, we're definitely benefiting from AI fighting each other. I still think that the better thing that they could do, instead of just trying to do money grabs with all of this, is to work together and come up with a very, very amazing system that is low cost, doesn't use natural resources to power, and just make amazing things. Competition is good to a point, but I think we're past that point.
This is the Visa MasterCard question. I will say, you are definitely cutting out quite a lot on Discord. On Twitch, you sound amazing.
Why?
On Discord, like every
no,
other
this has
word
happened
I
before.
lose you.
This has happened before. This is crisp. It's got to be crisp. I'll fix it.
Crisp. Yep. But no, I am a fan of having freedom in markets and competition. And I think that's produced a lot of good things. But the Visa MasterCard question is, where would it be better if we all had just MasterCard, not Visa and MasterCard? And I think there's something to be said there, because the scale of the network is really what brings it value. So in the same way as, imagine if there was two social media networks like Twitter and Facebook and no other ones, and imagine how horrible that would be, because like half your family you wouldn't be able to contact because they're on the wrong social media, and you'd have to do everything twice, like double the labor cost for every single post. That's clearly not efficient, as if everybody was just on Facebook or if everybody was on Twitter or something. That's clearly more optimized. And then obviously, because everyone's on that one platform, then its comparative cost per user is significantly lower. China. It's happening in China already. Apparently.
How does this sound now? Are we good?
You sound great.
Am I cutting
right now?
out?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Cutting out.
I'll let you know
chop,
if it happens, but
choppy,
you sound great.
choppy. All right. Okay, continue. Without coming into global politics and global economy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's an unavoidable topic, man.
It is a very avoidable topic, especially on this channel.
I do try, you know? It's like, you're the one earlier was talking about competition. I didn't even bring that up.
Oh yeah.
Or
I mean, like,
energy resources.
well, yeah, so I guess, I don't know. I mean, reframing everything is what I do, but the goal of me bringing that up is to say, here's how we can benefit and come to a... No!
Shenanigans.
Anyway, it doesn't even matter. It's just me reframing and trying to justify that the overall outcome that I would like to see is something where we cooperate instead of compete.
Yeah.
How can I fix this?
I laugh at the same time as you saying that. I laugh because you cut out. I was like, I just started to get it, and then you cut out that time. But I played the Twitch stream. I realized I laughed when you said that. It did come out really bad.
Oh no, I'm not taking
it. Sugar.
Why are you broken?
Healthy. Oh my.
Gosh, there's a lot of chat to catch up on though. Have you been reading?
I've been trying to read. I want to still settle it, because he has a lovely tool now. He puts on his tablet that he swipes to the right. It's all written in Blazor. It's lovely. For each chat message, and he can like pin chat messages. They stay up there.
Oh, cool.
It's very nice. He's made a whole little UI of it.
Yeah. If I spent more, I'm trying to talk louder to see if that maybe keeps it from cutting out, where it's like a volume thing.
No,
but
maybe
it's still doing it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I really have been, or I just haven't been spending time on the bot. I've been doing so many other things that it would be nice to, but yeah, just no. But
you just get all of your streams and just buy 1 million tokens, and then compress every single thing you've ever put out there and put it into an AI bot. Then we can have that bot, it's his own little stream, one AI, and it does the development for.
I'll even have it do the talking head thing.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna move around, smile and wave. But that is one of the things that I did watch a thing on Neuralink, which is like the brain stuff, and they had this guy that was like parallel from the neck down. So he, and also his voice cord also paralyzed, so he couldn't say anything. But the only thing that really worked for him was like his eyes and whatnot. So he was like staring at a screen, and he would like, as he looked at a word on the screen for long enough, it would click, and that was his whole experience. Like he would like spell out words. It'll take like 10 minutes to say like 2 sentences or whatever, or 1 sentence. But they gave him some Neuralink thing that ties in directly into his brain, and now he can just think it through the words. And because he had a recording of him reading an audiobook, just by happy coincidence, he had a recording of him reading an audiobook, they were able to then connect his voice back up to what he was saying. So he could actually speak in his voice, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
With 11 Labs.
I like that.
Technology.
I'll answer you, but first, let me tell you about today's sponsor.
That's the other thing. Oh, that's the other thing. Speaking of content creation, I hope that all content creators out there are saving their content without the advertisements in it for like historical purpose, because we are going to be known as the generation that lived through advertisements. Like in the future, they're going to figure out how to fund things without like doing advertisements and everything, especially, you know, like video content. And then there's going to be a time in history where you could date the video just because there's some idiot saying, some person saying, check out, I've got this from, you know, ZipRecruiter or whatever it might be. Please check out with my coupon code. But no, earlier this year, that's one of the things I did at the beginning of this year. I got sick of advertisements, and I decided that I will now pay for YouTube Premium, and I pay for Twitch Turbo. And I try and live an ad-free life.
Goodness. Okay, all right. It's getting interesting. A dumb home is a safe home, disconnected from everything. But yeah, we are getting close to the end of the stream, so you know what that means, D-Fox.
Stand up.
Stand up.
This has gone back to like I've been long enough on these Friday streams now, where I worked at a place that didn't do stand up, and this was like really crazy to me. Then I worked at a place that did do stand up. So I had gotten the groove of it. Now I'm back to a place that doesn't do stand up. So it's back to being crazy to me. So I'm supposed to say what I'm working on, where I'm stuck, and this sort of thing. Brain.
You said brain. That's all I heard.
Oh, that's all you heard? Did I break up? Did I also cut out?
No, it's you moved away from the microphone while you were saying what you were saying.
I was legitimately standing up for stand-up, just so you know.
Oh.
I'm joining you on my feet for stand-up.
Nice.
There's enough inference in that. Like, I should probably stand up for this.
Perfect.
That's why the microphone went away. I was waiting for the table to catch up. Yes. Yeah, so I'm supposed to say what I'm working on, where if I'm stuck on anything, and what I've achieved, right? That's the stand-up.
Yeah, and what you will be working on. Yeah.
What I will be working on. Okay, so I have been working on a program called Vidix Welcome, which is going to be the SSO for a bunch of legacy software or other software for my employer. And that is going okay-ish. Currently working on YAML files for the deployments in different environments. We've got the dev stuff set up, but we're working on the QA environment that's actually specific to each quality assurance employee, which is kind of weird, but that's what we're doing. So hopefully I am going to keep chugging and try and get this YAML file playable and deploy it on this my colleague's computer. So that's what I'm working on, and that's kind of where I'm stuck, because I'm stuck with goods. There's too many goods. The paths are too long with what it's trying to deploy. It's more than 255 characters, which is the limit for the Windows operating system. So just working out how to get around that and make it so it deploys nicely. And yeah, and then I'll be continuing to work on this. And then after I've got this working, I'm about to produce documentation for how to install a GitHub runner on someone else's machine. So if someone else wants to do it, they can.
Very cool stuff. It sounds like you're involved in a lot of really fun stuff, at least.
Just a little bit, just an inkling.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Well, my stand-up real quick is that I've been working through DDMS and our S-Track, trying to get S-Track library set up so that it is a C# library instead of VB code behind on WinForms. So turning that into a C# library, and also working on the lab data import utility so that it is more automated for the users, because they are using it now. We finished the testing. It's going to be in production. They can start adding information from other labs that are not our current lab. My blockers are that I'm trying to do too much of it using Copilot at the same time as working on one of them fully manually or semi-manually, I guess, using Visual Studio. And so I'm overwhelmed. But that's where I'm at.
Well, you too are also working on a bunch of interesting projects, and you're involved in a bunch of
Yeah.
interesting things, it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right, well, I shall bid you adieu. Thank you so much as always. Please, if anyone in the chat
thank you.
isn't following, isn't subscribed, now is your opportunity. You've been invited by a guest to the show. Hit that follow, hit that subscribe. Make sure you use the coupon on checkout. Definitely. Where's do we have a Blue Apron link somewhere?
No, I don't have a Blue Apron link, but I can send you a free box if you want.
Yeah, exactly. You should put the link down. Get some free boxes.
I just need your email address.
Till next week. I shall probably see you next week.
Awesome. Cool. Looking forward to it. Use the coupon code FLUX. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, TBD, also earlier for that. That was so much fun. Thank you, guys. And so goodness, why do you both start with a D and with a big D? DC Aggie. So as a contractor, I just work whatever days I work. Like, I don't even have to work the traditional 9 to 5 or, 80 hours a week, whatever. But that also means that I don't get vacation time because I don't work, I don't get paid. That also means I don't get overtime. So if I work extra hours, then I'm still billing at my normal rate. So no reason to go beyond the hours, the normal work hours, because I've definitely changed my attitude towards the way that work stays at work and the urgency of me wanting to complete things as quickly as possible and clump everything together so that I can get to the parts that I want to do has definitely been attenuated, so that now the end of my workday is the end of my workday, and the rest of the day I spend time with my wife, do things that I choose to do and not get paid to do. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that I am taking Monday off, which I think is the holiday in the US. It's Memorial Day, but DC Aggie was asking about Wednesday, so now I'm just confused. Okay, it's Monday. Cool. So I think that I will be taking Monday off of work and just spending the entire day doing the things that I want to do. Which, I mean, again, even the work that I'm doing is the stuff that I want to do. So it's really hard for me to say that. I'm in a good spot where I enjoy the work that I do. I'm going to go to this screen. Interfacing with the customer is even a joy because they respect my boundaries and they're just really cool people to work with. So I have a great client. The users are fun. They're cool. They're smart. They're awesome to interact with. And the stream is where I get all of my software developer stuff. So yeah, it's a really good place to be at, and I like it. So did anyone else post a stand-up? I guess I should scroll up to find out. We unplugged all the Echo devices in our home because Alexa started pushing books and products as an aside to notifications and responses. What? Is that real? Is it really doing that to you, DC Aggie? That is insane. We don't own any Alexa devices. And then the other one that you said isn't very useful, but at least it doesn't treat me like the product. Jeez. You need 2 days to dedicate without the stream. That might push the streams to Thursday. Ah, I see. Okay. I don't plan on canceling any streams next week unless I am just completely fed up and overwhelmed. Like, it really is starting to kind of be a little bit more difficult for me to choose to want to stream on any given day. Not gonna lie, just being transparent. Yeah. But I really, really do enjoy when we get to talk about software. It's amazing. And I love it. And I don't want to lose that. Different colors at least. And that's what TBD stands for. That's the holiday. Ditto apart from spending time with your wife, of course. Are you sure about that? Because I mean, she is a joy to be around. She's wonderful. If a coder is an alpha male, he is very transparent. Words. 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 Our wife. There's another word that starts with D that would describe me. And it's not the other one. Okay. So that's it. That's the stream. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to raid out now. I have no idea what I'm doing, where we're going, what's been happening. We're going to go to Red Cabin Games, who is probably about to end because he's been streaming for 1 billion hours. Raid Red Cabin Games. I will be back again on Wednesday. I don't plan on taking that day off, as I mentioned. It'll be an R-Track stream. Maybe by then I will have the oh, that was the other thing. The stored procedures that are in R-Track. I tried to have Copilot automatically do a PR that would convert them from the stored procedure SQL to no thanks. From stored SQL to C# class library, stored procedure. And it didn't do very well. It did like 4 stored procedures, and then it was like, I don't want to do this. Nobody wants to do this. Anyway, let's see if I can read this, just because it's fun. Dazzling, delightful, dependable, dedicated, dynamic, daring, distinguished, driven, decent, diplomatic, discerning, devoted, dignified, dazzling. You already said dazzling. Oh wait, you're just pasting it over again. Dazzling, daring, desirable, dreamy, distinguished, determined, dependable, diligent, delicate, divine, decent, dazzling, daring, dynamic. There's a lot of dazzling in there, but no, it's none of those. Nice try, though. Ciao for now. Not drunk either. I stopped drinking a long time ago. Can't handle it.